Behind every surrogacy journey is a woman who chooses to carry hope for someone else. But what is the experience really like? Emotionally, personally, mentally? Welcome back to Talk with Tonya, powered by PECGNA programs. In this episode, our surrogacy expert Tonya Kennedy speaks with a surrogate on the reality of her journey.
Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for joining Talk with Tonya, powered by PECGNA. I've got some really exciting questions to ask you that I can't wait to hear your answers for. So tell me, Megan, when did you first think about being a surrogate?
That's a difficult question because my family has been in fertility for my entire life. My aunt is an embryologist and my mom has worked in third-party reproduction for most of my life. So the thought of being a surrogate has kind of been in the back of my mind since I was a child. But until I had my own kids and was able to experience that, it really set into stone that being a surrogate was just going to be such an amazing thing for my life and for the life of another family to get to bless them with a child. So I kind of wanted to be a surrogate forever.
Very nice. That's so beautiful. So tell me, Megan, when did the process start for you, and how far in the process are you now?
So I began my application about a year ago in November of 2024, I guess. So a year and a couple months ago. And I am currently just began my second trimester of my pregnancy.
Wow, that's so exciting. You know, people say that the first trimester you don't feel very well. How are you feeling? Physically, how are you feeling?
I am feeling the same as I did with my other pregnancies. So I've had a lot of morning sickness, but hopefully we'll see some relief soon now that the second trimester has begun.
How does that feel to be not physically feeling very well carrying a baby for someone else instead of yourself? Does it feel easier to manage or kind of harder to manage because this isn't a baby you'll be taking to your own home?
I knew how my pregnancies were prior, obviously, to becoming a surrogate. So I suspected that my pregnancy with a surrogate baby would be the same as my own. So I was already prepared for the morning sickness and all of that. And, you know, I was aware of it. So I signed up for the feeling of nausea. But it's very different this time because not only do I have like the support of my own family that I've had with my other children, but I now have the support of a whole other family that's, you know, wishing me to feel better and trying their best to think of anything that could help relieve my nausea. And that they're just checking on me. It's a really special feeling to have such a big support system supporting me through this process.
Oh, wow. That's great. Really great. When did you first meet the family? And can you tell me just a little bit about the family? I know we have to be careful how much we say.
So I met the family after we were matched, and we got matched pretty quickly after I applied. So we've been talking for about a year. And my family is a traditional family that are international. They just got married later in life and we're ready to start a family.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. And how did it feel to meet this family? Were you scared at the first initial match, and or did you feel comfortable right from the start?
I was nervous going into the match for sure, but it was just an amazing feeling to be on that phone call. I have talked to other surrogates and I've kind of related it to like that feeling you're supposed to get when you try on your wedding dress of like, oh, this is the one, this is, there's not a reason that you know it's the one, but you can have that just sense of calm. And I felt that with them. It was just very easy to talk to them. Everything that we talked about just aligned, and it was just a really beautiful moment. And you just had that, yep, this is the one feeling.
That is a great analogy of the wedding dress. That is really perfect. So, what were you afraid of in the match call? What were you afraid might happen?
So the match call is kind of an interview. So you get to talk to them and ask them questions, and they get to ask you questions, and you just get to talk a little bit. But as interviews go, you might be confident in yourself, but it's just still a little nerve-wracking to share uh, your answers with somebody else. So I was just really hoping that, it would all align, and that we would all feel comfortable, and that we all agreed that getting to move forward together was the best choice for everyone.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your relationship with your intended parents?
I have a really great relationship with my intended parents. Unfortunately, they do speak a language that I don't speak, so we do most of our communication through text messaging, so they can translate, so we can, be on the same language. But we text quite frequently. We send pictures. We've really been able to just connect through that. I will video call them during my appointments, so they get to be present. And the husband speaks more English than the wife, so he'll translate, and we'll ask questions later, or text if there's any questions or things that they didn't understand during the appointments or anything like that. And it's been really special to get to know them during this process.
It's incredible how technology can really help with your relationship with the language barrier and the distance barrier. It's really incredible to have those tools available. So sometimes I hear surrogates concerned about the boundaries between you and your intended parents. Were you afraid of the boundaries that you may have to set so that they didn't overstep, or are you concerned about it in the future?
I think everybody is concerned that, I'm carrying somebody else's baby, so they might want to control what's happening to their baby. So they may want to control like what food I eat, or, you hear those horror stories of they won't let you do XYZ, and that's just not what you feel comfortable with. But that's why the match meeting is really important, to make sure that you can ask those questions and get answers to make sure that all of those questions are answered prior to being matched. I have not had any fears that my boundaries would be crossed. I do feel like this is their baby, and I want to involve them in anything that they want. But during that match meeting, all of our beliefs seem to align. So there hasn't been any crossing the line that I have felt during this. But I know that with the relationship that we have, that if I did have a problem and I explained to them, like, here's a boundary, this is something I don't feel comfortable with, that I think we could have that open communication and be able to figure that out together.
Collaboratively, not that
Yes.
you would demand it and not that
No.
they would demand it. It's a team
is.
building this baby.
Yes.
That's incredible. So you've had years of exposure to surrogacy. You've had your own experience. What do you think is the most common misconception for surrogates and intended parents going through this process?
For the surrogate, or for people around about surrogacy?
Oh, any of them. Yeah, tell me about the most common misconceptions globally with all of the people involved. There's a lot of people involved.
There is. I think the most common misconception about surrogacy, and the surrogacy I'm doing, is I'm a gestational carrier. So I do not have any genetic link to this baby. It is completely my intended parents' baby. And I think a lot of people get confused that this is my baby that I'm giving up. And it's not genetically mine at all. So I am just the oven. The bun is completely somebody else's. So I think a lot of people get confused of that I would want to give up my own child, but it's not my child.
Very nice. So how do you see the beginnings of this process impacting your family, your husband, your children, your parents? What do you think they're all thinking?
My kids are very excited. They ask all the time about the baby in my tummy, and it's really cute to hear that. And we have read a book as a family about how I'm kind of like a kangaroo, so somebody else's baby is growing in my tummy, and then we'll give the baby back to another family. And I think that helped them understand the process. I have pre-warned their teachers and other members of our family or, close relationships where our children could talk to make sure that they also understand that I'm a surrogate, to make sure that, anything that my children may say it's not weird, that they know that I'm not, that I'm not a kangaroo and I don't have a kangaroo in my tummy or something like that. So,
Or that
that's
you're not pregnant with somebody else's baby.
yes, that there's nothing going on in our marital life that should be concerning, that this is completely normal. This is the book we read, and just explained it that way. So that's been a fun thing to have to explain to everybody.
That's great, really great. So Megan, tell me, what is your initial expectations of the birth of this baby? What do you expect of the intended parents at the delivery?
I am very open. I've had 3 children for myself, and I think once you've had that many children, you're kind of open to the world. So I hope and expect that I think they'll be here like 20 days before I'm due. And then I would just hope that they get to be a part of the entire process, so they can, be able to see the birth of their daughter, which will be a very, very special moment for them.
So you will allow them in the room with you?
It's their baby. They should be able to be there for it.
That's incredible. That is really incredible. They must be so excited and feel so blessed to have you as their surrogate. So, are you afraid how you're going to feel once you're no longer pregnant and that baby goes home with their family?
I can't say I'm afraid. I think I've heard about how amazing it will feel to be able to hand, somebody their baby, and I'm very excited for that. But I can't say I'm afraid. I'm excited to be able to have that same feeling that all other surrogates have talked about. So.
Very good. Can you explain to me what you think it will feel like from the explanation of others?
I think, as I've heard, it feels like the most amazing gift in the world that you're giving somebody, which I think children are the most amazing gift. So it's going to be really amazing to be able to hand them, something that they've dreamed and wished for their entire lives, and finally get to have that. It should be really, really special.
Fulfilling the purpose of all of this that you've done.
Yes.
Seeing it happen. That's incredible. Really incredible. Looking back from today, is there anything you would do differently to go from the beginning of this journey to today? Is there anything that you would prepare differently for you emotionally, for your family? Is there anything that you would recommend somebody else who's getting ready to start from your experience so far that you would do differently? The advice you would give them?
I think I've explained the surrogacy process as hurry up and wait. So you get a whole bunch of stuff done really quickly, but then you have to, wait for the next step to happen. Things have to happen, like your periods have to start for you to be able to start a cycle, or we have to wait for the clinic to have room to schedule things, or you have to wait for lawyers to finalize the agreement. And so you get a lot of stuff done, and then you have to wait, and I think the process takes a little bit longer than you expect it to, but in moments you feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on, I have to get it all done, and then you wait. And I think that there's a lot more waiting involved than people realize. I expected to, I applied in November, be pregnant in January, and, have the baby by the end of the year. That did not happen. I had a few canceled cycles. So our journey was extended longer than normal. But I think just surrogacy can take longer than we expect. And I think being prepared to wait sometimes is good to know ahead of time.
It's really good advice. Really, really good advice, because I think people are so excited to have a baby. They want to start yesterday and have that baby show up tomorrow, and realizing that waiting is part of the journey, and it can feel really frustrating if you're not prepared for it ahead of time. So that's really, really good advice. So Megan, we'd love to interview you again after you have the baby, so that we can all be maybe sometime in the middle and afterwards, to just kind of get how this journey is going for you and see if you have any new perspectives to share with people. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
I was so happy to be here.